Welcome to our Digital Learning Professional Development session on Zoom Annotations with Shared Screen and Whiteboards. The first thing you'll want to do is change your settings. Go to IAM, click on Clever. From Clever, click on Zoom. In Zoom, choose Settings in the left and scroll down to find Annotations and Whiteboard. Once you've found the Annotation and Whiteboard settings, turn both of them on. And I like to allow saving of screen shares with annotations for both. This allows students and you to save either an image, PNG, or a PDF file of any drawings or annotations that you do on a shared screen or a whiteboard. Now pause the video and adjust your Zoom settings. Welcome back. Make sure that you've changed both the annotation settings and the whiteboard settings in your IAM Clever Zoom account. There are two ways to use the annotation tool in Zoom. When you're in Zoom, you can click Share Screen. Share your screen. And notice at the top a menu appears. If the menu disappears, you will still see your screen sharing option. Just hover near wherever you have dragged that toolbar. Notice there's an Annotate. You can click on Annotate. And you can use the different types of annotations to instruct students on how to work through, for example, a new activity. Let's say that I want to point them to this area. And this will be the first word that we're going to edit on their digital word walls. I can also change back to mouse so that I can write and change any text that I need to. Showing the students actually how to edit their slides. And when I'm finished, I can clear all drawings. I can also use, for example, the arrow. The arrow is a great tool if I want to point the students to something special, like maybe I want them to link something here, create a new text box and link something. Or maybe I want to clear that and show them the slide deck on the left and how they'll navigate that slide deck. So again, this annotation bar can be used as a teaching tool. While I'm teaching, if I click the three dots and more, I can disable annotation for all of the other students. That way they're not accidentally drawing while I'm using again the annotations to show students how to do something. When I'm ready for the students to annotate, I can turn this back on and click Enable Annotation for others, and then I can ask the students to, for example, point to something they don't understand on my shared screen. So let's pretend I want to show them how to use this slide deck. And I am using my mouse because I want to click around. I want to show them how that they leave the word link, it'll still link to the slides. And when I click on that slide, it'll take me to a place where I would like them to work on the vocabulary for that particular word. The first thing they may want to do is go ahead and put the word in if it's not already there. Make sure everything is capitalized correctly or spelled correctly. At this point, I might want to pause and ask if there's any questions. I could ask them to put a check mark beside the things they understand. On a student's screen, they will click View Options and Annotate. It's a clickable button to the right of where it says who is sharing their screen. Students will choose the stamp tool and choose a check mark. And notice they can put a check mark beside the things that they understand. As they're actually annotating on this shared screen, I can see who's doing the annotations. So I could also ask them to use the drawing tool, for example, and circle things that they don't understand how to do. So I can see that student number 2 circled audio and video. I can see that student number 1 has a question about your choice. So this is a great way when you're sharing a screen to instruct students or to create some collaboration or engagement with the students. So let's review some of the tools that you can use to annotate with a shared screen. Notice I have a shared screen of a cycle. So what we're going to do is start as a teacher, and as a teacher I'm going to look through the different options that I have. Let me point out that the spotlight is only the option for a teacher. So if the teacher uses this for teaching, notice that that red spotlight appears. When a student shares their screen, they'll get the spotlight option on their toolbar. Also notice that whenever I clicked my mouse, it did move me forward on a presentation. So I might need to use my toolbar, select mouse again, and go back to get on a slide that I want to annotate on. These are things that you can practice with your students, but just to be aware of. So again, I'm a teacher and I'm going to start and I'm going to use the arrow key. So notice as a teacher, I have different arrow functions. I have this arrow, and I also have this arrow. And again, the spotlight. If I click spotlight, my menu changes to spotlight. If I click arrow, my menu changes to arrow. Let me show you the differences with the arrow. The arrow outside of the draw arrow options includes your name. So if I have a student and ask that student to also do the same thing, that student can put their arrow and it'll include their name. The options under the Draw menu, however, will allow the student to draw a line, creating an arrow, or choose an arrow that has a little more flexibility. Also notice as a teacher, when I go to clear, I have different clear options. I can clear all drawings, I can clear my drawings, or I can clear the viewer's drawings. So if I want to keep the things that I'm doing, I want to clear all the students' and viewers' drawings. This is very helpful if students accidentally use the annotation tool while you're teaching. So you don't have to clear all of the drawings. You can leave your steps, but just clear those accidental drawings that happen. So I'm going to ask my next student to draw using the draw function and the draw arrow. Notice that I see the student's name again. So that was student number 2. And then I'm going to ask student number 1 now to do the next step in the cycle. So this student is actually connected via an iPad. One thing to note is that the annotating toolbar is different on an iPad. The student uses an arrow and they don't have the stamp function. But if they use the arrow, they can use the same arrow that it's similar to the one that I used at the top. They can also use a pen. And again, notice when this student draws, you'll see their name beside their drawing. So there are multiple ways that you can use the annotation toolbar to engage students and to assist with classroom instruction and going through content on a shared screen. The next way that you can annotate in your Zoom meeting is not with a shared screen of content, but a shared whiteboard. So let's click New Share, and let's choose a whiteboard. The whiteboard is an excellent tool. It's a blank canvas for you to use all of the different annotation tools that we've talked about. And students can also draw on this board. So for example, I'm going to use a line and I'm going to draw a T-chart. And I'm going to ask students to put examples of, I'm going to give text, a square. What are the properties of a square? And then I'm also going to use text, and I'm going to draw what are the properties of a rectangle. So I've got student on this side is actually going to use the pen tool, and they're going to start off and use and give me a property. I'm going to ask another student to give me something for a rectangle. Notice there, the rectangle and the square have lots of similar properties. So this student could also say that there are 4 sides. In our live PD session on Zoom Annotations, we discussed the different ways you could use this tool when Zooming with your students. Take a moment and read these examples and think of other ways that you could use annotation in the Zoom setting to support your curriculum. We also talked about the whiteboard annotation, how it was different, and how it could also be used to support both a younger age group and a middle school, high school age group. So take a moment and think about how the whiteboard annotation can be used in your Zoom classroom. Okay, let's take a minute and review. First of all, there are 2 ways to get your annotation toolbar. Click the share icon, and you can either share your screen or share whiteboard. Next, on your share menu, you'll need to click the annotation pen to get the annotation toolbar to appear. You'll want to familiarize yourself with all of the tools on the toolbar so that you can choose the most appropriate way to annotate on the particular document or whiteboard. The drawing options are the most popular way for teachers and students to annotate. You can use the 3 dots in the Zoom toolbar to find other annotation controls, such as allowing participants to annotate, or potentially disabling the ability for students or participants to annotate. Finally, remember that you have the option to clear all drawings, clear just your drawings, or clear the viewer drawings if you're the presenter. Students and teachers can also save the whiteboard screen or annotations on a shared screen if the teacher has turned on the save settings in their Zoom settings. Students and teachers can save these screens as an image, .png, or as a PDF. Remember to take a moment and review all of the features of your annotation toolbar, and to remember that the annotation toolbar on a laptop can be different than the annotation toolbar on an iPad. Let's look at the annotation options on an iPad. When a teacher is sharing their whiteboard screen, you can see that their toolbar is a little different and has some limited options. Notice they still have draw, can change the color. There are shapes and arrows, but there isn't a stamp tool. When a student shares their whiteboard screen, they also get a different list of options. You'll need to click the bottom arrow to expand their annotation tools. Again, they have text, line drawing, color options. They also have the ability to create multiple whiteboards. By clicking in the bottom right, you can select which board you would like to edit or add a new whiteboard. You can also save each of these boards or just chosen selected boards.